It has been a long week of cutting and crafting and sanding and painting, but we finally have this year's Dreadnought armor ready for Jared's epic blaster battle number 9. So in today's video, we're gonna go over the suit. I refer to this as the Mark V. So we're gonna talk about the other 4 versions of the suit and explain how we came to this version. So with all that said, let's jump right into the video. So where did all this start? Well, it started with the Mark I. At the time, it was just basically me grabbing a bunch of sporting equipment and different pieces and cobbling it together to make kind of an armor set. Now this set was all black, had a gas mask, and looked a little bit too intimidating and didn't fall in line with the DrFlux color schemes. But the Mark I armor taught me something very important, and that is that when designing Nerf armor or Juggernaut armor or whatnot, to start with sporting equipment because it's already designed to be comfortable, be worn all day, and also offer some protection, which is part of the overall armor. Moving on to the Mark II. Now the Mark II is the main armor. This is the armor that took the longest amount of time. It has parts in it that you can see here in the Mark V. One of my favorite parts of this version is the chest plate. Now this is a special chest plate I found on Thingiverse, which was modeled off of an airsoft armor set. I was also experimenting with different knees and footwear, and at the time I wasn't too happy with the shoulder pads that I used in the Mark II. I was even going as far as incorporating a Steadicam chest rig system to hold a blaster. That worked out pretty well, but it made the armor overall too constricting and very uncomfortable to wear. Moving on to the Mark III. Now the Mark III, I was really taken back by the overall classic Doom aesthetic, so I pretty much built the classic Doom Space Marine. So I basically wanted this set to be true and true to the classic Marine from Doom. It turned out pretty good. The only problem with it was back to the Mark I's problem, and that was it's a little bit too realistic looking or not as bright and vivid as we like. In addition, the armor, the shell that went around my upper section was just massive. And that was just due to the scaling because, you know, I'm kind of a bigger guy. So it just made this very large balloon type of upper armor segment. The Mark III armor also included the original Mark II helmet, but we repainted it to meet the classic Doom guy paint scheme. In addition, that armor set had different shoes, it had different shin guards. I do have the belt on the Mark V here, was from that Mark III. Also, the shoulder pauldrons from the Mark III are currently being used. Then we move on to the Mark IV. The Mark IV is one of the coolest, unique. It's a complete different direction. We went more into the Halo universe. This armor was completely different. The only thing that was reused were the boots from the original armor, but you can't tell. They've been so modified, they look completely different. This is also when I first found the leg and boot system that works so good and looks great, and that's why I adopted it in the Mark V. One thing I really like about the Mark IV is the helmet, and that's because it utilizes a full face mesh. It's very cool, didn't really need any fans inside, and it did a really great job. It also looks really cool. But here we are back with the Mark V. So why did I go back to the classic Space Marine build? It's because it just looks so good. In addition, we have the new game coming out, Doom, the Dark Ages, and I just absolutely wanted to lean into that aesthetic a little bit. So we covered all these parts in spikes. That's what's going on here. These are foam spikes that I handmade out of this stuff here. It's called Black Magic. It basically is a foam clay, which is really cool. Dries really nice. I ended up covering it with some watered down glue and then painting them all, and then I actually sprayed some matte varnish on top of it and they did not melt, so that's pretty nice. Now the Mark V, let's kind of run down the whole thing. So the helmet, we got the classic helmet, it's been repainted. I want to do a little bit of color breakup and keep some of the Mark III painting that was done there because it was a really good paint job. We did add 3 spikes on the top. We did add this stuff here. This is just a roll of car tinting material that you basically cut out a pattern, spray it down with water, put it on there, squeegee it, and then it adheres to the plastic. So it worked pretty good. This is a little bit warped, so I did get a little bit of wrinkles in there, but it's fine. In the helmet, I do have lights set up, and also I'm reworking the cooling system to use these vents here, because these are actually vents here, here, and up here for helmet cooling. So this will be an intake. It will blow air right into my face, and then hopefully it vents out the top. It'd be nice to kind of get some flow in there. Moving on to the shoulder pauldrons, I did mention these are from the Mark III. We have added 9 spikes to each pauldron, and they work great and they look awesome. Moving on to the chest area, this is an airsoft 3D printed part. Now these things got destroyed because I've actually run these in several events. So I was basically had to do a lot of heat stapling, a lot of super glue and baking soda, and just kind of refab the whole thing. Now the arm guards are from the Mark IV version. I just added spikes and gave them a nice paint job. Nothing too crazy there. The gloves are the original gloves that everyone's seen on this channel over and over. The cod piece and the belt buckle. The belt buckle was from the Mark III version, and then the cod piece was from the Mark II version. So there's some old parts. And obviously the legs, like I said, I love the legs. The legs were done with, I believe, Catcher gear, and gave it a new paint job, added a ton of spikes onto them. So they have actually 8 spikes per leg guard. And wearing these feels great, because like I said before, this is sporting equipment. It is designed to be worn all day and offer protection. So really cool. And then finally the boots. Once again, we got the original boots, just been redone, new parts put on them, and then of course we've added spikes. Each boot has 4 spikes. Now the last part of this armor, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get a chance to finish it for this trip, but we have a shield. I'm gonna paint this up, put the spikes around the edge. I don't know if I'm gonna go as far as have the spikes be able to move. That would be freaking amazing. This might be a project in itself. Let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see that. To have a chain shield with foam spikes that actually move around, that would be pretty amazing. So we'll have to see. And of course, the blaster's gonna get a dedicated video because there's some stuff we're working on with that. Basically, this blaster is just, it started off as a minigun, has kind of a flame tank on it. So we're just gonna call it the Zombie Strike Flame Minigun. Well, that pretty much wraps up today's video. Let me know if you're gonna be at Jared's Epic Blaster Battle 9 down in Texas next month in August. If you're down there and you see me, please come say hi. I'd love to meet you. There's a lot of really cool people that show up to these events, and it's just a lot of fun. So, as always, I'm DrFlux. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe and happy foam flinging.